Finovate showcases cutting-edge banking and financial technology through a global conference series featuring short-form demos and thought leadership. Now, the conversation continues on the Finovate podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Finovate podcast. We are continuing our exploration of our FinovateFall 2024 Best of Show winners. And today I'm chatting with Milind Borkar, founder and CEO of Illuma. If you haven't had a chance to see their demo video, again, you can up at finovate.com/videos. All of the videos from FinovateFall are up there. But Milind, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Greg. It's a pleasure to be here.
So as you've heard me say over the last couple of weeks, the demo videos are up. You can go and take a look at the full 7-minute demo that Illuma did up on the main stage there. But Milind, I'll start with you. Can you give people who didn't see that video a quick overview of what Illuma is all about and how you've made it to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. Today, Illuma is a fintech and deep tech R&D company. And we specialize in providing passive voice verification solutions for mid-market financial institutions, particularly credit unions, community banks, and regional banks. But that's not where we started. We actually started off as a advanced R&D contractor for the federal government, had a sequence of contracts with the Department of Homeland Security that led to developing a very lightweight voice recognition engine. And it was in 2019, our first time we presented at Finovate to see if there was a potential fit for the technology, among financial institutions, that we were overwhelmed by demand and interest for the technology. And that's what led to our pivot from Illuma Labs. And now we call ourselves Illuma as a product company that has a dedicated focus to the needs of credit unions and community banks and regional banks. And so it's wonderful to see Finovate come a full circle. This is where Illuma was really born reborn back in 2019, and finally getting recognition and winning the Best in Show.
Yeah, no, certainly it's been a long journey. And people who want to see that journey, you can actually go back and see some of those original demo videos as well. You can see the 2019 demo. And I think this is actually a really good lead into my first real question here, which is, you've been coming to Finovate for a while. We've seen the demos as they evolve. But I think one of the things that can be difficult from an audience standpoint is that the demo itself actually looks fairly similar because it's such a simple demo in many ways. It's you talking to the phone and kind of gaining access through using your voice, which again, you should take a look at the video and see it for yourself if you haven't already. But I think one of the things that can be difficult for our audience is to really understand what's going on behind the scenes and how the product has advanced over the last 5 years. Can you talk about some of the new functionality that you've built that's going on behind the scenes that has kind of allowed you to keep pushing forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always interesting when we do a demo at Finovate because, our product is intended to be extremely simple. The primary users, contact center agents, they've got a whole lot going on in those 5 minutes they're on phone calls with members and customers and account holders that it's vital that the product is extremely simple for them to use. So making a flashy demo with a lot of moving parts kind of goes counterintuitive to what we're trying to deliver as a product. So, when you look at those demos at first glance, it looks pretty similar, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of changes going on. For the first couple of years, it was pretty heavy in expanding the capabilities to, further advancing the availability to different platforms. So it was mostly a broader, integration effort into different phone systems. Then there was a pretty significant update we had when we demonstrated with Posh on stage, which was our first demonstration as an integration into full self-service conversational AI bot. And then our most recent demo was a further significant enhancement in features and capabilities by incorporating deepfake detection into our product to essentially defend against the newest form of threats from generative AI, where it's becoming easier and easier to replicate people's voice with very readily available content on the web. And this is our first hands on addressing this threat and protecting our clients and their account holders.
Yeah, and I think, and again, there's so much work that goes into it, and we'll get to the kind of partnership piece a little bit later on. Before we get there, I want to talk about artificial intelligence. Obviously, this is a really hot topic in fintech as a whole and society as a whole. How has AI played a role in your journey? And there's kind of two sides. There's your ability to fight fraud. There's obviously the other side, which is fraudsters are able to do more things than they were able to do before.
Yeah, no, very good question. I mean, we've started off fundamentally as an AI company. A core voice recognition engine is developed using state-of-the-art capabilities within AI and machine learning. Machine learning itself, is a subset of the broader area of artificial intelligence, and we've leveraged key technology in that space to bring out a very easy-to-use, simple product that not only can be trained in what's called an unsupervised manner, but then also is able to continue learning in a supervised manner in a production environment with our clients, which really gives our clients a very easy way to deploy the technology with low effort, but continue creating improvements and enhancements and better performance as it's been live over repeated call interactions. That's been the fundamental base of where this company started. All of our innovations have had some element of AI machine learning built into them. In particular, the most recent innovation that we demonstrated at Finovate to win Best of Show, deepfake detection, does leverage some of the key capabilities, key advances in AI today to actually detect threats coming from generative AI, which is used to create these deepfake clones. So overall, AI has been a part of our journey since day one and continues to be today, and will continue to be a component moving forward as we use AI to battle bad forms of AI.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one thing too, you and I were talking before we push record here about kind of the difference between AI and machine learning, and how the roots of Illuma really come from the machine learning side. Can you just talk a little bit about the difference that you see? Because I think this is an area where some people kind of conflate the two, think they're exactly the same, but I think there is a little bit of a difference between AI and ML. Would you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's part of it is perception in the industry. There's certain aspects of AI that get a whole lot of coverage in the media, and then the general public associates AI with just that small section. Today, that's happening with generative AI, where you see synthetic voices. You see things like ChatGPT, where content is being generated on the fly. People are associating AI with just that niche form of AI, which is certainly creating the most advances in technology these days. I'd say about 5-10 years ago, it was mostly around advancements in neural networks, convolutional neural nets, and similar technologies, where the capability to initially distinguish between pictures of cats and dogs really took a significant advancement to technology that is now able to differentiate between a variety of different things that get comparable to human capability. So I think the media and perceptions around media do force people to think of AI as particular subsets. But in general, in my opinion, AI is a pretty broad area under which a variety of different subsections fall under. And machine learning is one of those core components, which is machines being able to teach themselves without being directed by humans, a core form of AI, and that has been a fundamental component of our technology since day one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, one of my favorite things when you think about AI is the difference between, can AI learn the difference between a Chihuahua and a blueberry muffin? I think that's one of those really good illustrations of some of the limitations of what it can do. But again, that's what you're talking about. That's how it's portrayed in the media, right? Those types of pictures get a lot of visibility, and people tend to overestimate exactly what it can do and how broad a topic it is. And I think the other important thing to recognize here is there's a lot of threats that come outside the AI space. We talk about the capabilities of AI and in terms of what fraudsters can do with it. And clearly there's some really scary things there, right? When it comes to the idea of deepfakes or, voice cloning or things like that. But a lot of the threats that banks and their customers see on a regular basis have nothing to do with artificial intelligence. Can you talk about some of those other threats and where they come from?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's you're absolutely right that there's a lot of media spotlight on Gen AI, deepfakes, and what those threats could do. And I completely with you on that. I mean, technology advanced so far in the past couple of years that in the wrong hands, it can be used to do really malicious things. We're processing a ton of calls across our clients today, and I'm happy to say that we haven't seen a real use of deep fakes in any of our contact center production deployments today. And there's probably a reason behind it, right? Because it still requires, as easy as it's gotten, it still requires more effort than simply going to dark web, buying a bunch of stolen information, going through a Rolodex and answering questions, right? And the moment you feel like you might be getting stopped by an agent, hang up, try it again, try to get a different agent who's not having their best day. That still continues to be the easiest way to penetrate, and that is the most common way attack vector we hear our clients talk about. However, the scarier part is that some of the higher value attacks are really happening directly on account holders. So these are credit union members or community bank customers. where they're answering a phone call, coming into their cell phone, have very limited capability of being able to authenticate who that person is. They have someone calling in claiming to be, a fraud specialist from their neighborhood financial institution. They tell them, hey, we've detected some fraud on your account, and we want to talk to you about it or address it. I'm going to send you a one-time passcode on your phone real quick, just to verify it's you. And they initiate that because what they're trying to do, this fraudster is actually trying to break into the digital banking, and they're initiating an OTP to reset a password. Well, this unsuspecting account holder has no idea. They just read that password back to the agent, to the caller, who's the fraudster, and the caller enters that and has keys to the kingdom at this point. Very low tech, didn't require Gen AI, didn't require anything besides a phone and a computer and login. Now they have the ability to log into an account. And those type of attacks are the most common ones that we see. And those are very difficult to protect against today outside of, education, which has limited impact, at the scale.
Yeah, no, I think it's certainly some of the most prominent examples I've seen of fraud are, to your point, very low tech. They don't require anything beyond a phone, a computer, and somebody with the chutzpah, for lack of a better word, to come in and just give it a go. So, looking at it from that standpoint, and as you look at the financial services industry as a whole, do you think most people have a realistic view of how scared they should be about the new types of fraud attacks that are enabled by AI? To me, it sometimes seems like, people are either way too calm about it, just kind of like, oh, that's a problem for tomorrow, I don't need to worry about it now, or they're way too worried about it, thinking, this is going to be an existential threat. Or does one of those two groups actually have the right idea?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Greg. I kind of view risk as a combination of probability and impact. And so when you think about specifically on Gen AI and deep fakes, as I mentioned, we haven't seen any of these attacks happen to any of our production call centers. So at least today, probability is low. Can guarantee it'll be low 6 months or a year from now, but absolutely certain that the impact of a carefully orchestrated attack where an attacker took the time and effort to really replicate a very good replica of my voice could be disastrous, right? So I do feel that both of these camps have something that's right in their mindset. My typical recommendation is, think beyond just this one form of threat. Fraud is there. It's here to stay. It's going to keep growing as it has been over the past few years. And rather than look for a point solution solves one thing, take a broader approach on, how do you strengthen your arsenal to stay ahead of fraud no matter which way it comes? The way we're looking at it from Illuma's perspective is a three-pronged attack to protecting against fraud in general. First is strong authentication. We have a solid biometric engine that looks for very precise matches of voice prints, which gives a very strong capability to reject the vast majority of deepfakes that are out there today. Supplement that with deepfake detection, which we demonstrated at Finovate, where the idea is now you're looking for specific signatures of machine-generated voice to add to your authentication decisions and scores. And third piece is adding multi-factor authentication, because if someone was capable and sophisticated enough to get through the first two, getting to the third one as well becomes nearly impossible this time. So the goal here really being, how do you become the most difficult target to penetrate as opposed to being impenetrable? You don't have to outrun the bear. You have to outrun the other people trying to outrun the bear, right?
Yeah, no, I love that joke. And I think, again, fraudsters are businessmen, right? They are looking at ROI. They're looking for the fastest possible return on the time that they're spending. So, certainly it's difficult to make yourself impenetrable, but you can do a lot of things to make yourself not the easiest target out there. And in many cases, that's enough to point the attackers somewhere else. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the partners that you've been implementing with. I think this is one of those things too. The demo itself, obviously, you've got a lot that's for those smaller financial institutions and other FIs, as you mentioned, but you're starting to get a lot of partners outside of those banks and other FIs. Can you talk about why those types of partnerships make sense for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we, obviously today we're deeply focused on the mid-market FI use case, and that will be the case in the foreseeable future as well. And the way we've added most of our partnerships are platform partners, because most customers are not going to be able to buy Illuma or use Illuma standalone. It needs to be a piece of either a contact center platform or an intelligent virtual agent platform. So we're building very strong strategic partnerships through those relationships. There are certain platforms that are very common and popular among our client base. We integrate with those platforms, but mid-market FIs may not be the only targeted vertical for those platforms. So suddenly, the partnership begins with the use case that addresses FI needs, but those same platforms that they used in other industries that need authentication, like healthcare, insurance, telco, utility, or government, we're now out of the box ready and available to go and serve those markets as well.
Yeah, and I think this is an area too. I just want to highlight one because Glia is one of the partners you used in your demo. They're also another Finovate Best of Show winner. And from our perspective, we love to see these types of partnerships between Finovate companies. So not to say that you're limited to them, but that was just a good one that's worth highlighting. I think we have time for one more question, and it's a rather large picture one, which is what's the next step for Illuma from here? Where do you see yourself going in the next 5 years?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, in startup land, 5 years is like infinity, right? Who knows what's happening next year, really? But if you asked us 5 years ago if we'd be in the FI space, that was around the time we were starting to pivot, which I might have kind of known, but may not have if you asked me like 6 months before that. But what do I see right now, right? Where all of our core innovations right now are focused on solving the needs of our community bank, credit union, regional bank clients. And when you take a step back, you do realize that the problems are not just faced within these specific targeted verticals, but they have a broader use case. Let's think about deepfakes, for example, right? The demo we did showed how do you stop a deepfake attack against a contact center, but deepfakes will show up in a lot of places outside contact center. These will be direct phone calls coming into cell phones for CEOs and CFOs. These will be showing up in media. There's a lot of other places where it could come through, and expanding our technology outside of the contact center and essentially becoming the preferred voice security provider, no matter how big or small you are, no matter how your customers engage you, whether it is in branch, over the phone, at an ATM, swiping a card at a gas station, any of those places where voice ends up being a very natural user interface, we want to be there. We want to be the primary provider. And with the support we have from our investors and our clients today, that's a goal that I think is very easily achievable for us.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. And again, you're right. 5 years is a really long time. So who knows what the future holds. But I think one thing's for sure, we'll continue to see you all advancing. We love to have seen the progression so far. Look forward to seeing where you take it going forward. And again, anybody who wants to see the progression can go to finovate.com/videos. Just search Illuma and you'll be able to see all the demos over the course of the last several years and see how they've progressed and see why they're so deserving of Best of Show this time around. So I want to thank you for joining me and congratulations again on taking home the trophy.
Thank you. It was a true joy and a real recognition. Always a pleasure being on that stage. Always a pleasure hearing the newest jokes, Craig. And I'm looking forward to the next time we share the stage together.
The Finovate podcast is produced by Informa Connect in association with Provoke.fm Media. Check out Finovate.com for information on Finovate's upcoming shows and to learn how you can get involved. The discount code Finovate Podcast will save you 20% on tickets to all of our events. And you can email us at info@finovate.com for information on sponsoring, speaking, or demoing. Thanks for listening.